Smart Shorties with Mr. Craig. Hi guys and gals, Mr. Craig here for an Art Smart Shorty with Mr. Craig. Yes, that's me. I represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay and the Youth Arts Initiative, which is a super great program. We're doing some great things with the arts and with kids and teaching you guys all wonderful skills that can help you with your artistry in school and beyond. Yes. Now, what I want to teach you guys today, we covered some things with proportion one of the last sessions. We also covered some things with portraits. So we kind of understand a little bit about how faces work and how bodies work and stuff like that. And it's a hassle, isn't it? Drawing a human figure is kind of tough. When you use that stick figure breakdown like I taught you guys, it helps a lot. And professional artists use that all the time. That's really kind of one of the layout tools. Another tool that they use is they'll break down the human figure using ovals. So it's like this whole part of the arm can become a long oval, or this can be an oval, and an oval up here, an oval up here. So they can break it down into shape rather than in line. But both techniques really, really work well. The technique that I learned first, and I think most people do first, is the stick figure type person, where there's just the lines. And if you think back to when you were a little teeny tinier person, that's kind of how you drew. So that's sort of a natural progression. What I want to talk to you guys about today is the hands. And a lot of people, when I'm working with them, they're like, Mr. Craig, how do you draw hands? And I think what they really want is they want to say this, Mr. Craig, how do you draw hands quickly and easy? That is the tricky part. There really isn't an easy, fast way to draw a hand. A hand is like the whole body, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts to it. Just like we have a leg and an arm and a head. This is all the same thing. This is tricky. It's hard to make all that because there's so many parts to the hand. And you have to respect that. So the thing that you do to draw a hand is you take your time. That's how you do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of demonstrate a rough layout. And again, I'm going through this pencil like crazy. Let's get that pencil sharpened and ready. And now what I want to do is I want to get some, let's put an eraser in my hand, an eraser, and I'm just going to hold it like this. And now I'm going to look at my hand as my reference point. So I'm drawing from life. I'm drawing from what I see, and I'm going to draw a rough layout for that. And to do that, I'm going to very lightly sketch in some of the shapes that I see. And here's the eraser. Let's get that in there right away. And my thumb kind of comes in here. I've drawn a lot of hands in my lifetime. A lot of hands. So I kind of really can, I don't know, I don't want to get cocky, but I think I can do it fairly well. But I've done some where I've spent a lot of time on it. Oh my gosh. I've spent a couple hours on a drawing, and I want to make this a quickie, so I'm not going to spend as much time. And I already see that I've kind of messed up. Let's bring this down a little bit. Yes, let's bring that down. Yep, Mr. Craig messed up. What a bummer. What a bummer. But you know what? It's good that I caught it now at the beginning, because I can kind of fix it then. This whole set of lines, wrong. But I can, again, artists are always problem solving, right? You've heard me say that before. I'm sure you have, because I say it all the time. And when we're fixing our problems, we're going in there and correcting. It's not a mistake anymore. Now it's a fix. That's right. Some artists, they say, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And I say, don't be afraid to fix your mistakes so that they aren't mistakes. I don't know. But I have to take that back, because I have a closet full of mistakes that I'll never get back to as far as my artistry is concerned. Now, once I have my my hand kind of figured out a little bit, I can go in here and start to adding some value changes. Wow, we're using that a lot. We're using those phrases a lot. The the elements of design are a very important component to the arts in every aspect. So that's no surprise that we're using value changes to represent a lot of different things. And there's a lot of details on fingers and hands and thumbs and all that stuff, guys. But kind of use your own discretion to get as much in there as you'd like without it killing you, because you could render this hand until the cows come home, and it would take forever. But I'm going in here and I'm looking at some of my key lines, and I'm kind of working my way through them as I'm going and building on to some of the reference points that are happening there, and kind of building, always building the hand and what I see, and going in here with all of the lines. And this eraser has some sharp edges, because it's not a sharp eraser like a knife, but it's got straight lines on it. And my hand doesn't have any straight lines on it. So keep that in mind when you're drawing the human figure. Rarely will there be straight lines in it. Now, some artists can do that stylistically, which is cool. Or if you're drawing a robot, that would be kind of cool to kind of get some straight edges in there. But for the most part, hands and the human figure, and the face for that matter, are organic shapes. So they're not going to be as hard-edged and straight lines as possible. More curves, things like that. And as I'm going here, I can start thinking about, all right, I want to add some more shadow in there and get some more of that going on in there, get some of my darker tones, because now I can define it a little bit better, because I know that, yes, that's sort of where I want it to be, and build up my tones there. Until then, I could keep it light and always change it. But now that I know that that's sort of what I want, I can go in there and kind of darken some of these edges so that it's now become kind of my finished line, if you will. And then where I messed up, that line right there, I'm going to go in there and just kind of shade right up to it, because that'll be the bottom part of the thumb where the shadow is hitting it, the shado. Shado. No light there, nope. And kind of goes all the way over, because I've got a light source coming from over there. Well, I got light sources from all around, but the main light source is kind of from over there where I'm seeing this shadow. And my fingers here are dark. There's a lot of darkness down in there because it's away from the main light source. You want to think about that too. I'm talking about light sources. So I mean, if we're going to have multiple light sources, there would be maybe a number of shadows, and you just kind of have to look at it and really see kind of how that's represented. And here we got a fingertip coming out over here. Let's get that. And there's just a little bit of shadow in there, and a fingertip coming down here. Let's get a little shadow on that, get a little shading on that. And this is kind of cool because you can practice this anywhere you are, because you should be bringing along your tool that you need, your hand, your model. That's your model, and you should always bring it with you so that you can draw from it. Oh, that's really funny, Mr. Craig, because people have their hands on their bodies. Yeah, real funny. Okay. And I can see that my hand is twisted a little bit. It changes. Your pose is going to change a little bit, and when you're drawing from a figure model, the model might turn a little bit, which means you have to go, oh, you're off. Can you change it, or kind of go with what you see and alter your drawing to kind of match it. And I'm getting some of my key lines in here a little bit. Maybe messed up that little corner there, but that's all right. That's all right. This is just an example for you guys to see and work from. And let's see here. I want to get this bottom finger. Kind of comes there, and like this, and like that. And I see a little bit of a shadow in there. Not a little bit, a lot of a shadow in there, because there's not much light down there. And then I see the palm of my hand right here, and it kind of splits there a little bit, and we've got wrinkles in our wrist, and that's kind of interesting how that goes. And then I even got a shadow from a vein in in my wrist a little bit, and sometimes it's kind of cool to get some of that detail in there. And then my line is just going to fade out, fade out, fade out. Top line too, fade out. And I am going to add in the shadow that's there, because it's pretty prevalent. It's pretty obvious that there's a shadow there. And as I go and add more of my tone here, and the other pad of my palm, I want to make that darker. And I can even go up in here. Oh, gosh, I'm bouncing around like crazy, aren't I? Yeah, it's all right. No big deal. No big whoop on that. It's how you're working. You should be able to dance around your page, kind of get everything. And as you can see here, gangsters, I'm starting to get close to finished drawing for right now. I could go on with this forever, and some of the times I'll actually use multiple different colored pencils to give some tone in there. And you don't always, I don't always make it look like skin tone either. Sometimes I have fun with it and make, give my hands just some, whatever colors I'm feeling at that particular time. What does that mean? That's weird. But if I feel like I want to make a green hand, I go for it. And I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. I make it the way I want. Unless I'm doing it for an assignment and there's a requirement. For this particular thing, just have fun. Draw and learn. That's the important part, drawing and learning. Now for me, I got my arms and my wrists and my hands are covered in hair, so I could put some type of an indication of hair. Sometimes I even have kids that come up to me and pet me. That's crazy. They're like, "Oh, Mr. Craig, you're like a kitten." Get away from me! I'm not a kitten. Oh my gosh. And now with coronavirus, you can't be touching people, so stop petting me, kids. Oh, brother. So just getting some indication of that in there, and my hand's starting to get tired, but I think it's pretty close to being finished. And you guys can sort of see how my hand is laid out there in a three-dimensional drawing. Did it go fast? Was it a fast drawing? Hardly. You have to put the time in when you're drawing hands in proportions. Now be sure to draw, continue to draw hands and look at different poses that you might find the hands doing. Here, check this out. This is kind of interesting. On this little model that I use sometimes for figure drawing, he comes with a bunch of different hands that you can pose him with. Can you guys see these hands? A whole bunch of little poses so that he can be going peace signs or whatever you want him to be doing. I barely switch the hands because, again, this guy's so fragile. His hands already pop off, and I don't want to lose them. That would not be good. So this is Mr. Craig with Mr. Craig's Art Smart Shorty, and I wanted you guys to continue with your lessons, continue with your learning, continue with your art practices. Represent the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Green Bay and the Youth Arts Initiative, which is awesomely cool. And you're awesomely cool for checking these out and continuing your practices. So I want you guys to stay creative, stay artistic, and stay healthy, both mentally and physically. All right? Mr. Craig, out of here. See you soon.